We want to build an industry here for film. We want to be the home of the $1 million movie. We're not going after, those Marvel tent poles and, the Top Gun Mavericks and stuff like that. There are plenty of cities that can do those things. But, we want to go for films with like $1 million and under budget. And that's why we really want to cultivate these relationships through the Horror Fest and everything that we do in the rest of our programming to really make a hub here that is indie friendly, because you can get so much bang for your buck in northwestern Pennsylvania.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine. Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Let's unearth a schism at a hunting camp.
Oh, that's you with the goddamn
random
segues
openings
and random puns. And the thing is that our audience won't know what the hell that means.
They will soon.
They will soon until they get to our special guests, because we don't always have guests on this show, and that's something. We're not really an interview show, but when we do, we get some really, really juicy bits out of our guests. And we're not just saying that because it sounds horrifying, but it's true. We're on episode 243, and this week, after we had just got done talking about the nuances of practical effects versus CGI, we thought, why not really focus on independent horror, because there's a festival coming up, right? It's a festival coming up in October called the Eerie Horror Fest, and for us Western Pennsylvania people, that's a big deal. I don't know about you, but it's a big deal for me.
Oh,
and our special guest is I don't know, John. We call our special guest the head honcho.
Oh yeah, the big cheese,
the big enchilada,
the man who resurrected the Eerie Horror Fest. So
the mad scientist himself.
Yeah, we have John C. Lyons, filmmaker and head of the Eerie Horror Fest, here with us. How you doing, John?
I am fantastic. Nice to be here with you both.
Nice to have you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. We're used to just getting like ourselves of note, and we were talking before the show about one of your projects that is in a level that I don't think any of us have ever been at. But we're going to get more to that. But anyway, John, could you tell us a little bit about the Eerie Horror Fest and kind of how you kind of fell into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Eerie Horror Fest, this is going to be its 15th year this year, and it did wonderfully, and then they took about a 5-year hiatus. We being the Film Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania, myself and Erica Berlin, the president of the Film Society, approached the family who started the event and got permission to bring it back to life. And we had our first year, kind of an abbreviated program. Last year, it was still during COVID. There were a lot of challenges, but we did have an awesome event, some really cool guests. We had Michael Bean, David Naughton. It was a good time for sure, and people really enjoyed it, and they were excited to have it back. But this is the first time that we're able to bring it back in all its full glory back to the Warner Theater. The Warner Theater is a 2,200-seat historic venue, and it's just put millions of dollars into renovating the space. It's added space as well. There's a rehearsal hall now that we'll talk about because we have some events in there. But we're back. It's October 5th through the 8th in Erie, Pennsylvania at the Warner Theater, and we're super excited to have it back and be in that place.
Yeah, and this is a big event, the Eerie Horror Fest. I know sometimes people listen and you could go to a film festival and it's in a gymnasium and it's projected on a cinder block wall and you're like, why did I pay $40 or something to get in here? But no, this is top tier stuff. I've gone to it as many times as I could in the past. The Warner is beautiful. If you want to make it out to this thing, you're gonna get your money's worth and then some. So,
yeah. I know that I've been to some festivals where it's total Cinderblock City when it comes to the screening.
Yeah, it's tough. Being a filmmaker myself, and as you guys know, you have to really do your research now on festivals for sure. And so we're kind of, our leadership team, our filmmakers, our film fanatics, and we definitely want to do the audience right and do the filmmakers right. And so we're doing, just some new things that we're doing that the Horror Fest hasn't done before is if you're a feature filmmaker that's selected, we're covering your hotel for you for the duration of your stay.
That's awesome.
We have a pitch competition, like a narrative pitch competition, because we're trying to get more films made here in Northwestern Pennsylvania. So if you're one of the top 5 finalists, of course, you're covered in the hotel as well, and you're going to pitch your project to a panel of industry experts, like actual people that can get your film, your script made and produced. And one of the packages is to get a consultant package with Blood Oath. You can look them up. They are seasoned veterans in the horror genre in film. So we're really trying to not just make the experience amazing for the audiences, but we really want to bring filmmakers in here and we want to show off the area and show them a good time and get their films made. So those are some goals that we've added to just, the normal film festival. Come and watch some cool films, meet some awesome celebrities, have some parties. We really want to focus on the industry and the education and really get everybody's game up and get some films made.
That's really awesome. I know that I've been to a couple film festivals and the ones that really do go all out in trying to, celebrate the work that's already created, but then also try to ensure that there's opportunities for those filmmakers to really continue doing this. Because most of the filmmakers that I know I'm in the same boat here. We don't do this full time. Mm-hmm. It's often you're doing this between a full-time job and a part-time job. And there's always the dream that you could eventually turn this into something. Unless you're making superhero films nowadays, it seems to be, trying to turn that into a job is kind of difficult. So to hear that the Eerie Horror Fest really does try to connect with industry professionals and really does try to foster those relationships to turn people's, maybe a short film into something much more is really refreshing to hear. And and it's something that you really don't hear about in this neck of the woods. You hear about it in New York and Los Angeles, but not really so much in Northwestern Pennsylvania.
Exactly. We want to change that for sure.
Sweet.
And obviously, Brian, you had mentioned it, that, John, you are a filmmaker. Where would you like to start here? I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to start at the beginning, around hunting camp, or do you want to talk about Unearth here? Because we got some very you gave us some big news about Unearth at the top of the show. Could you just tell us about your journey as a filmmaker?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. We started Lyons Den Productions, which is our independent production house in Erie, Pennsylvania. My wife and I, Dorota Schwiantz, and we have done 3 feature films, Schism, which you mentioned up front, There Are No Goodbyes, and our latest is Unearth, which premiered actually 2 months ago at the Fantasia Film Festival, an awesome festival in Montreal, and has had quite a run. It played film festivals for over a year in over a dozen countries. It has distribution in over a dozen countries. It's on Showtime. It's on Amazon, Apple, all the good stuff. It's also out on Blu-ray, packed with features. But we thought we were kind of coming to the end of, the initial release. I mean, it's been out on VOD and streaming and stuff since last summer. And we got an email from MoMA, which is the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and they wanted to program our film they're doing a week of eco horror, and our film is actually kicking off a program that has, I mean, some of the other films in this program are like 28 Days Later, The Crazies, Pet Sematary, Chud, The Long Weekend, Cabin Fever. I mean, we're in here with some amazing, I don't know if I can swear, but some amazing,
oh yeah, you can totally,
some amazing fucking movies. And it's going to be Dorota, myself, and Adrienne Barbeau, who's one of the stars of our film, will be there for a Q&A on Monday, August 22nd. So it's like, I don't know, Unearth just keeps going. And sadly, you know, it's a story. It's a fracking horror story. It's an eco horror. It's a film with a message. It's a film that, you know, I wrote very angrily about the state of things and, you know, how we are with the environment. And it just keeps going, which is really amazing. And we just never expected we would play in MoMA with a film. So yeah, that's our news there, and we're super, super excited to be going out there.
Yeah, it was Adrienne Barbeau. I interviewed her, and she only had the best things to say. So good news
awesome.
on that. Yeah, so when you started, well, it looks like, you know, there was like Shakespeare's Dilemma, which I'll be honest, I don't know much about, but you got on my radar with Hunting Camp. What was it like making like a first, you know, short and, you know, really going in to make something, you know, as quality as possible, but having a starting point?
Sure. I mean, I didn't go to film school. Dorota, she has her master's in fine arts. She, you know, has the education of the artist. I learned filmmaking from watching tons of DVDs and behind the scenes features and just kind of studying, you know, like I remember like David Fincher's films were always kind of like a masterclass just from watching, you know, the behind the scenes, listening to the commentaries, and then just kind of studying and, you know, learning obviously shot composition and lenses and things like that. But when we got to Hunting Camp, it was really, you know, you need to experiment, right? And you need to just make stuff and spend the time with the equipment and just learning the craft. And so Hunting Camp was, you know, refining my very basic skills at that time in screenwriting and learning, you know, the formatting and doing casting and, you know, setting up a shot list, drawing storyboards out. But it was really like using the tools that we had access to. So back then there was a mini DV camera called the DVX100A.
Oh, the classic. That's what I learned on.
Yep. It was a beautiful, great prosumer camera.
It's a workhorse.
Right?
It's a workhorse. And it was the only camera at the time that like gave you the quote unquote film look.
Yes.
Like that was back in the day when everyone's like, oh, you got to get the film look. Gotta get the film look. What's the film look? 24 FPS, you know, like that's what it is.
Yeah, and some people thought it occasionally looked like 16 millimeter. I mean, you know, that's quite a stretch. But I mean, it was for the time, you know, there were a lot of features that were being made that were, you know, making festivals and getting picked up for distribution by big companies back then. I mean, it was kind of the hot camera for its time. So it was really just, you know, I had a friend that had a cabin in Tionesta, Pennsylvania, and I cast friends and family, and we shot on weekends, and we had a beer sponsor, and, you know, it was just like, you know, it was dipping a toe in a lot of waters there, and then learning that, you know, kind of coming back around to the film festivals, learning that, yes, any film festival will gladly take your money, but what kind of a presentation will you have? What kind of experience will you have? Who will you meet? Will you be able to even network with other filmmakers, distributors, stuff like that? So, yeah, it's Hunting Camp was fantastic. It was a blast to make. We self-distributed it. Troma actually has the rights to it. They released it on like a compilation DVD, you know, many years ago now. But Yeah, it was a great experience, a great start. But yeah, you just work on shorts with friends with the tools you have and just keep refining. Yeah.
Now, question I have is, and this is something I think that, anyone who's listening to this and has dared to be an independent filmmaker, I think the question always becomes like, well, how do you fund this? Now, I know a lot of people go to self-funding, but like for bigger projects, it's kind of hard to do that. How have you ended up kind of tackling that beast? Have you found investors? Have you tried doing the crowdfunding thing? What's kind of been your strategy?
Yeah, as you all mentioned up front, I work a full-time job. I work several jobs now. I'm also a teaching artist as well, teaching usually middle school teens filmmaking and using the art form to share their voice with the world. So, yeah, a lot of self-funded projects to start off. And then when we got to There Are No Goodbyes, this was a couple years after Kickstarter and crowdfunding, started becoming a thing. And we did an Indiegogo campaign for There Are No Goodbyes, and that was successfully funded. And then after that film, when we were working on, developing and writing Unearth, we did a Kickstarter campaign for Unearth. And at that point, it was a much smaller project than it ended up being, but it was big for us. Like our goal on Kickstarter was 15,000, which I thought, oh man, if we can make 15,000, and it was 150% funded, and it was a Kickstarter project that they love, and it was an IndieWire like project of the week.
Wow.
And then it just kind of got on more people's radars. Dorota and I were already friends with Chuck Palahniuk, but Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, he really liked our first feature, Schism, and he like posted about our campaign and helped us, raise money there. And we got on some actors' radars, and then it just kind of kept snowballing over the course of time. And then it got into, okay, let's swing bigger on this one. Let's go the private investor route. Right. And that was a whole learning experience. That was a year of, I pitched 200 people over the course of a year, and 30 people said yes.
Wow.
And that's how we got Unearth funded. And as you can imagine, I heard 170 no's.
Yeah.
And kind of got a thick skin, and I totally got over my worry and nervousness about asking people for money in that process, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't think there's like resources online to say this is how you talk to a private investor. It's more like just like try to say, hey, do you want to dump your money into something that may be awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I heard one time that movie funding might be the riskiest investment ever. But people love it. And, that's great because it helps people like us, right?
Absolutely, for sure. And honestly, Unearth plays into the bigger picture mission that we have for the Film Society, that we have for the Horror Fest. It really all is connected. It's, we want to... and the Greater Erie Film Office, which is another program of the Film Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania. Like, we want to build an industry here for film. We want to be the home of the $1 million movie. We're not going after, those Marvel tent poles and, the Top Gun Mavericks and stuff like that. There are plenty of cities that can do those things, but we want to go for films with like $1 million and under budget. And that's why we really want to cultivate these relationships through the Horror Fest and everything that we do in the rest of our programming to really make a hub here that is indie friendly. Cause you can get so much bang for your buck in Northwestern Pennsylvania.
That's awesome. I know that Pittsburgh kind of does that. But we also, I know that like getting permits, things like that, it used to be a lot easier, but now that's really kind of catered to the bigger studios. That's because they just, that's where they come. They've been coming here for years. So like to hear that, you're trying to make Northwestern PA be that hub for that, it's great to hear.
Well, and the thing, like, since I grew up in that area, I can tell you that Erie is like a little hidden gem of a city because you can make it look like so many things, but it's like a small community. I mean that in a good way, where you can get more access to things. And it's kind of like, for a long time, I kind of wanted to keep it hush hush because I'm like, oh no, I want to shoot up here. I don't want other people shooting up here. But yeah, no, Erie's great for that. And John, I know that you shot pretty much everything either in or adjacent to the Erie area, correct?
Yeah, for sure. For There Are No Goodbyes, we traveled to Poland and Ireland and Czech Republic and filmed some scenes there. But yes, everything is centered in Erie. And honestly, why we filmed those scenes there, it worked out because Dorota and I were planning. Again, this is how you have to think as an independent filmmaker, right? We were planning on a trip to Europe over a course of months. And so when we were working on this science fiction script that dealt with elements that we could, have a greater scale in them by opening kind of the world up, you make sure that you find a way to get your camera equipment in the luggage and you take advantage of that and film stuff overseas. So, but yes, everything that we've done is definitely here in Erie, Pennsylvania, and in northwestern Pennsylvania. Definitely, it bleeds into everything that I write, and as far as aesthetics, I just like that gritty rawness and the realism and the struggle, and that's what we grew up in.
It's one of those things, you write what you know, right?
Exactly.
I think trying to make a film that looks like it's in some other city, and you want to use the resources you got at your disposal, right? So like, if I'm trying to make a movie that's not Pittsburgh, and I've got all these things that are Pittsburgh, and I've got actors who are from Pittsburgh, and all this other things, why would I try to make it seem like it's somewhere else? When you have resources there, it's one of those things like, you write what you know, and you write for what you have, and you try to make the best story possible with that. And you could call it a limitation. I call it a strength, because people will have to travel out here to get that. But that's something that we've got in our own backyards.
Yeah, absolutely right. I agree. I concur.
You concur.
Obviously, you're still, working with Unearth and everything. Not working with it, but getting it out there and everything. But do you have anything in the pipeline? Any movies coming up, or is it just like, are you focusing on the Eerie Horror Fest right now, and that's a little more down the way here for you?
Well, Eerie Horror Fest is definitely a huge and growing chunk of my time. But yes, absolutely. We have I have a co-writer, Shira Pettis, and we're working on the sequel to Unearth. And we've already sent it to like cast members that would be recurring, and our sales agent and distributors. And we're working on that actively for about a year. We've been writing that for a year. I just finished a documentary called Lake Erie, Our Kin. Well, just finished production. We've filmed all of this month, the month of July. I'm partnering with awesome award-winning filmmaker Melissa Troutman, who is from Public Herald. She's an investigative journalist and an eco-activist and a filmmaker. We've been wanting to work together for a long time, so we are doing a 1 hour. It's actually going to be in 2 parts, and will be on PBS. It's called Lake Erie, Our Kin, and it's about our relationship with the lake historically, which has been more of a transactional relationship, and it's about trying to live a more reciprocal relationship with this very important ecosystem that we continue to take from and really take for granted, actually. And if we lose it, we're kind of really screwed as far as the U.S. So anyways, just entering post-production on that documentary. And then we are working on about, 2 or 3 other scripts right now. So there will be about 3 or 4 projects here probably by the end of the year that hopefully we will be able to get at least one of them off the ground for the next one. So yeah, working on a few things.
Gotcha. And maybe this sounds a little generic of a question, but I am always curious from one filmmaker to another. What is your favorite and least favorite aspect of making a film?
You know what? There are things to love and struggle with in each part. I do love the writing process because it's sky's the limit, right? And it's kind of your voice or you and your partner's voice working through all of that and putting it together. But then it's amazing once you start getting cast members and crew members in there to, bring your vision to reality. Stuff like, building a budget and casting and crewing up can definitely be stressful. But then once you get on set, right, and then you see these amazing performers like saying your words, collaborating with other artists, it's amazing. It's also extremely stressful, at least in our situation. I mean, we did Unearth in just 18 days. Wow. It was like a 96 page script at that time. It was insane, honestly. And, we had quite a lot of struggles and learned quite a lot. And then you get to post-production, and then that can be nerve-wracking because, you're seeing it come together, and you can either be like, oh shit, look, we totally forgot to get this shot, or that aspect totally doesn't work. And, then you have to figure it out. But then when you figure it out, that's kind of awesome too. And then of course you release it and you have the reunion. So I know that was a very long-winded answer to say basically, I love this art form. And even though we are all insane to do it because it is really hard work that people don't quite understand how hard and challenging it is to, creative people, we wear like our emotions on our sleeves, and, you put so much time and effort and hours and years. Like Unearth was 5 years of our lives. And then, sometimes you'll see someone put a review that's like, too slow, nothing happens, boring. And you're just like, fuck, like, like this is my blood, sweat, and tears. And it comes down to
that's my, I'd say it's a thing. Like I've had people who've like we were just joking on the last episode about someone who trashed our podcast. Oh. And it was a fun experience. And we every once in a while we get those. And I used to be like really angry and get like, what they don't understand. But at the same time, just like for someone to take the time, for someone to say, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing and take some time to be angry and tell this person what I think of their either movie or in our case, our podcast. And like ours was more or less because it was our political beliefs that they did not like. And it's like, well, okay, there's another podcast you can listen to. But like I said, I'm like, liberals. What was that?
Us filthy pinko liberals.
Yeah, that sort of shit. But for them to like take the time to trash you, think of it this way, like, there's a very fine line between love and hate, and you can at least sit back and be like, well, you wasted time trying to stick it to me, so
yeah, it's a really good point. And honestly, all of those can also be informative, right? Like you can see patterns and things that you can do better next time, for sure.
Oh yeah, there's an absolute difference between like a peer or a cinephile saying something and someone just saying, I don't like it.
Right.
Like, okay, you don't like it. Why? Oh, no.
Yeah. And to your comment about politics, once you get into politics, then all bets are off. Like, ours is a fracking horror movie. So we got so many people that didn't even see it that were like, oh, fucking Obama made this. And it's like, what? Like, what does that comment even mean?
What do you mean Obama made it? Like, he made the horror? I'm like, I mean, if you really want to dig into it, he was part of the whole fracking thing too. So, I mean,
they're not going to
not?
do their research.
No, they didn't mean that.
No, I get it.
They meant liberal pinko, like, yeah, what you guys were just saying.
Yeah, no, that they meant that shit. And I mean, it's like, the movie taking my job. It's like, no, I'm sorry that your job is poisoning the earth, but I mean, can't help that.
Yeah.
But,
all right. So John, when can they get tickets to the Eerie Horror Fest? What are the dates? Like, what are some of the special events? What do we got coming up here for the Horror Fest?
Yeah. All right. So it's Wednesday, October 5 through Saturday, October 8 at the Warner Theater in Erie. Right now we are doing a pre-sale discount on our all access passes and on just the opening night. So our all access pass right now is $105. It goes up on September 14th. We've got an all access pass premium that includes some awesome merch and admission to our opening night party. That's at $132 right now. Nosferatu is our opening night. So opening night Wednesday, we're having a kickoff party and the awards at 5:30, and we're going to have some special musical guests, which we can't announce yet, but we will announce them soon.
that's unusual. You're putting the awards at the beginning.
So
most film festivals put it at the end.
Exactly. So here's our thinking on that, and it's very much a purposeful thing. When you give out the awards at every damn show after the fact, then how many times have you guys been like, "Oh, I didn't see that one. Oh, too bad I didn't see that one." You know?
Yeah.
So it's for us it's like, let's do the awards up front. Then people are going to look through the program and see that, oh, this is the award winner for best feature. This is the award winner for best first time filmmaker, best of the fest. Like, you know, you want to see the film that we feel is the best of the fest, that our judges feel is the best. So if you happen to not make it to the fest that day, that would suck, right? So, so we're trying to get all of that information up front and have it be better for the filmmakers too, because then they can be there opening night with us as well, and you know, then they can promote their film that's also the award-winning film. It helps everybody out more.
I mean, I get that, and I love that because I've gone to one film festival where the awards were at the end, and my screening of my film was like 1 hour before the awards.
Man.
So no one was there because everyone was getting ready for the awards ceremony.
And you would have had a good crowd.
I would have. Like, I had people saying, "Oh man, I want to see your movie, but like, you know, I got to get ready for the awards ceremony." I'm like, what the fuck, man? And it's like I don't have any control over that because I'm just the filmmaker. I don't have any control over programming. And I understand that every festival, I mean, you know this, you know, you have a finite number of slots that you got to fit these things in, and so many films that you can put in. So like that's a challenge. But I love the fact that you put the awards ceremony at the beginning because it does free it up. So that anyone can go watch the movies and not being like, "Oh, well, I can't do it. I got to get ready for the awards ceremony." Well, the awards ceremony was during Nosferatu, so there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, and we are going to have an audience award, but what we're going to do is the last midnight film of the night is going to be pre-programmed, so that's not going to be eligible for an audience award, but we're going to do an audience award voting for the 4 days of the fest, and then we'll announce it, you know, before that last film block. So that's how we're doing awards this time. I hope it works out. So also on Wednesday, our biggest event to kick off, it's the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu.
That's amazing.
The Warner Theater has a Wurlitzer organ, a 1500 pipe organ, built into the Warner Theater, and we're going to have Ron Rode, which is a very experienced organist, is going to perform the score for Nosferatu live. Right there, we're going to have him set up center stage in front of the screen, underneath the massive screen that we're going to have on stage. It's like the biggest screen we can possibly get. It's coming in from Chicago.
Wow.
So yeah, I won't, there's more things about the presentation of all of that I'm super excited about, but I want people to just see it and experience it for themselves. But just know that, you know, this film that this iconic film that we all know and love and still is creepy as fuck.
Max Schreck is still terrifying. Like I don't, and he's an archetype for every single time that you want to see a vampire that's not good looking and fuck your wife or anything like that. If you want ugly vampire, it's pretty much an archetype in Max Schreck.
Absolutely. So that's our opening night. So that's Wednesday, and it just gets better from there. I mean, Thursday, I'll just go through each day. Is that cool?
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
All right. So Thursday, that's when we have our narrative feature pitch competition. So when you submitted to the Eerie Horror Fest, there's each of the categories that you can submit in, like the normal ones, feature, short, docs, narratives. But then we also had a pitch competition that you could submit to. And for that, you had to have a feature-length genre film, so a feature-length horror film. You send us the first 5 pages. You send us a pitch deck. And you can also send us other supplemental materials. So if you have a trailer that you cut or a sizzle reel or, a lookbook or a tone book or anything like that, you can send us those materials and we will whittle those down to the top 5. And again, the top 5 are going to pitch to a panel of distributors, directors, producers, and other surprise people that may or may not be our special guests of the festival. And they're going to be on this panel, and they're going to pick the winning project. And again, the winning project is getting a consulting package with Blood Oath. Their website's Join the Blood Oath, but they're really cool group of people. And so that's where we're starting off the day on Thursday. And then our special guests are John Adams and Toby Poser from the Addams Family, which is Wonder Wheel Productions. Their new film is called Hellbender, which is still the highest rated horror film of this year.
That's amazing.
They're doing the keynote. So
I've
they're
been seeing them show up on Shudder. So like when I saw that you guys had posted them, I was like, I got to see this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great story because it's a family. It's a husband and a wife and their 2 daughters. And they've been making films together for, I think it's at least a decade now. The 2 daughters one is entering college right now. So, yeah, they write, act, do the music, do the editing. I mean, this is really kind of the dream, and it is such an amazing story. I mean, they've been, as you said, they got picked up by Shudder. They've been covered in the New York Times recently. They are really rising stars, and we just love that story. So we're having them deliver the keynote address for the festival, which I think, for all the DIY filmmakers in the audience, it's going to be great just to hear their perspective. And then we're going to show later in the night their new film, Hellbender. And, of course, we're going to have a Q&A with John and Toby. So that's some of the bits from Thursday, which we're super excited about. Friday, so have you seen Children of the Corn from 1984?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Outlander, we have your woman. She lives.
You have seen it more
I
than
might
once.
have seen it a couple times.
So we're having stars John Franklin, Courtney Gaines, and John Philbin, and the director Fritz Kirsch out. And we're doing something a little different. We're going to do a live running commentary with them.
Wow.
So they're going to be on stage while the film is up there, and we'll probably be able to start, stop, and reverse, and they're going to give us like the behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of these actors were kids, right, when they were making this film. So kind of looking back on the experience and giving us a lot of, I don't know, behind the scenes stories. I'm sure some of it will be funny, their memories. So this will be especially for you all that have seen Children of the Corn a few times, I think this will be a great experience to basically have a live commentary track right there in front of you with the people who were in and made the film. So we're excited about that for sure. We've also got 2 workshops that are going to be on that day, and one of them is with Carter Smith. So Carter Smith is the director of The Ruins, Bug Crush, Midnight Kiss, and his new film Swallowed. He's been a fashion photographer. He's very well known for his fashion photography as well as for his filmmaking. I mean, he's done spreads in Vogue and GQ and W with everybody you could imagine, and he's done commercials for like Tommy Hilfiger and Tiffany's, and he's brilliant. So he's going to be a guest. We are showing his new film Swallowed, which I'll talk about for Saturday, but he's going to be doing one of our workshops, and we will have some more surprise awesome people doing workshops as well, kind of touching on that education part and having direct access to people who are working in the industry and are successful. And I think for filmmakers and creatives and people, who want to become filmmakers, these will be invaluable experiences where you can get some real one-on-one time with industry people. And we're working on more stuff, of course, for each of these days, but I'm just giving you the stuff that's locked, of course. Then Saturday, when we did our first festival last year, we had an industry panel in the early afternoon of our first day, and it was packed. Because we were planning on doing the pitch competition this year. So our industry panel last year was how to pitch your film, and it was very well attended. People made it was great for networking. It was great for some people to get their films off the ground, which we always love to hear. This year, we're doing script to screen, how to get your film produced. So we're taking it from, I have a script, now what do I do? And, people will be sharing their expertise and knowledge with that. And then at 8 o'clock, as I referenced, we're going to have director Carter Smith introducing his short Bug Crush, which actually back in 2005 was at the Eerie Horror Fest. And it was such a great, creepy, queer short that we're going to show Bug Crush again. We're going to show his new film, Swallowed, which stars Jenna Malone and Mark Patton. You might remember Mark Patton. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh, yeah.
And he also did a doc recently that's called Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. And Mark's going to be there as well. So we're going to do a Q&A with both Carter and Mark. And this is just getting started. We have more people, of course, more films, but that kind of touches on for you all, what we've got locked so far.
I gotta tell you, that's a jam-packed festival, my friend.
Good. I like to hear that.
And here's the absolute best part, dear listeners.
Oh yeah, best part.
The Cinema Psycho show is going to be there.
Yeah,
forget all those celebrities and all that fun stuff. But yeah, your favorite podcast, or at least top 10, is going to be there.
I'll settle for top 20.
I love that you'll be there. That's amazing that you both are going to be able to be out there. Yeah. I think that'll be so cool for you to, get some time with the guests.
I know that we'd love to. I don't know if we're going to be able to make the Nosferatu. I hope we can, but I know that we will definitely be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hear about the Nosferatu when I really want to go to that, because that's one of my absolute favorite horror films.
So yeah, we will. You want to keep up to date. Excuse me, I'm on a podcast and I can't speak. Eerie Horror Fest. That's EERIE, Eerie Horror Fest. But we will also keep you up to date on any announcements that we get, and we will share those. But yeah, just check out Google Eerie Horror Fest, and you'll be able to find out what's going on all their social medias, the website, and all that good stuff. Because there is still a lot more to come. We got to be pretty coy about it right now, but there is more to come.
There's more to come. So
keep up on it and grab some tickets, because it is a damn awesome film festival, and I'm John. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. So
we're thrilled to have you both. We're thrilled to have the psychos there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're thrilled to be there. It's not every day that we get asked to do that to go up to a festival and you know, be part of it. I mean, I don't think John, we've ever had that.
No, we had one-offs and stuff, but yeah,
we had one-offs here and there. We never had an outreach say, "Hey, we love your show. Could you come up here?"
Yeah.
So like when I heard about that, I was like, "Man, that's big deal." So we're definitely honored to be part of the festival. And as I said, this sounds like an amazing jam-packed festival for not just people who love horror movies, but people who really want to know the ins and outs of the industry. And glad to hear, glad to be part of it.
Thank you both. Yeah, we're super excited, and you're part of the horror ecosystem, and we want a healthy ecosystem. So hell yeah, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, with that said, John Lyons, where can they find information about you and your movies? I mean, obviously we talked about the Eerie Horror Fest, but where can people like connect with you?
Yeah, of course, the Horror Fest is Erie, as you said, with 2 E's, EerieHorrorFest.com. And of course, we're all over the socials. You can get tickets also at EerieEvents.com. Just type in EERIE in the search bar, and it'll take you right to the ticks. Our company is Lyons Den Productions, and the film is Unearth. Our website is unearthmovie.com, where you can find out where it's streaming and pick up the Blu-ray, et cetera, et cetera. And we're Lyons Den Productions all over the social media, and usually Unearth Movie or Unearth the Movie on all the socials too. Thank you all so much.
Awesome. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Same.
John Lyons. I mean, Woolscroft, I talk to you all the time, but another
you never
John.
say it's a pleasure for me.
No. After 243 episodes, it's just, well, you're here. Yeah. John Woolscroft, where can they find you at on all the social medias?
Well, you could find me here for one. But no, the Unreal J Wolves over on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all that, all the basics. And obviously there is J Dubs Video Nasties over on YouTube. So please
anything new coming from the Video Nasties?
I'm finally getting the Wonka video up here.
Nice.
So many questions on Willy Wonka. I'll be revisiting Check-In over on You Only Live Twice, where Sean Connery decided to dress as an Asian man.
I was gonna say that's that one. Yeah, that one's really bad.
Ooh. And I got a series of interviews that are still in the works, so I don't want to announce anything yet because I've had that come to bite me in the past. But a couple interviews that I'm hoping to lock down here as well. So.
Awesome. And you can find me at Brian Connaughton. I also run the Psycho Shows page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question, or you want to hear more about the Eerie Horror Fest, I mean, we'll be more than happy to talk about it. Contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. And be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
Fuck fracking.
Epicast.